Hello friends. I'm going to share a little bit about my story of Ascension. I'll be honest, I just recorded a 10-minute video. I felt like I barely even got started. It's a big chunk. Maybe I'll have to do it in 2 parts, but regardless, for anybody who's interested in what happened to me personally, it feels more like a shaman's journey than anything. And the definition of a shaman, as far as I understand, is basically like a madman who has to heal himself, herself, you know, in order to get through it. And then it's like can turn around and do the same for others. And I did have an experience of feeling like my world was falling apart, like I was losing my mind, like I was unhinged. And mind you, my conscious mind never went unhinged, but witnessing what I witnessed without trying, without taking peyote, without any kind of conscious effort really at all, the doors of my mind started opening. The same doors that would open if you consciously took a psychedelic drug in order to facilitate that type of experience. These started happening without my awareness consciously, without my consent consciously. On a subconscious level, I signed up for this. My soul already knew that I was here to do this, you know, and a lot of you know that story. But for those that don't, it's like our souls choose this path before we come here. When our souls awaken, when our conscious mind awakens to that, that's when the journey really gets started, because we're like, oh shit, I came here for a purpose. But my conscious mind was not caught up with me at the time. I was just about 30, 31, and my entire life fell apart, you know, for my better good, but it all felt like it was happening to me, and it was very traumatic, very unsettling. I lost everyone, my close friends at least. And I had to start over, you know, in a new town, in a new state, with a new business, and I lost all my confidence. That's the thing. It's almost like I had to climb back out of a mud pit, years and years of climbing back out and finding my confidence and remembering who I was before all of those things were taken from me. And again, it served me. I'm not a victim. In fact, I asked for it to happen. I asked for my 30s to not be an extension of my 20s. Having no idea what was about to happen to me, having no idea that by saying that I was essentially giving consent to the universe to do whatever it needed to do to get me on the path that wasn't like my 20s. And that meant removing everyone from my life and everything, pretty much. And it was about 1.5 years or so after that I started having visions. And mind you, I've had visions before when I was in my teens after my first spiritual awakening, but this was entirely different. I call them episodes because they come every 6 weeks roughly, and they just like blow my entire world up, and they make it really, really complicated to just do normal things and be a normal person in this world, because it's essentially like taking, you know, a large amount of drugs every day and then trying to like navigate life and, you know, work and communicate with people and just be a responsible human and take care of yourself. And it's really, really hard. If you've ever done psychedelics or peyote or something, imagine that you took it in the morning and all day long you had to go to work and just be normal as you could, and you couldn't really tell anyone, except for this time I didn't take anything. So I'd have these visions of myself, like future self. I didn't know. At the first couple times they happened, I had no idea what they were. They freaked the fucking shit out of me though. And to be honest, I saw a lot of dark places. I've seen hell realms. I've seen some dark places since this portal started opening. And again, it happened in a subconscious level that I didn't really understand what was happening. But after all these years, it's been about 8 years since that started happening, I've really learned to ride the waves. And I've gotten to a point where I can work, I can communicate, I can, you know, function on a high level, even with all of that happening in the background. And most of the time, nobody even notices that anything's off at all. It's taken me a long time to get here. And that is why I'm able to turn around and teach others how to do this now, because though the process won't be the same for them, I've never heard of this happening to anyone quite in the same way. I'd love to talk to somebody who's had that same type of experience of basically, I don't even know how to explain it, so I won't try. But if any of this sounds familiar, I'd love to hear from you. And for anyone else, just know that this path chooses you. You know, if you're out there trying to make it happen, you want to ascend, you want to become enlightened, it's like, do the internal work first. Don't worry about the spiritual part of it. Do the emotional work, healing of trauma. Those are the things that need to happen first so that you have a foundation of self-love. When these really, really hard lessons start coming in, you can fall back on it. And luckily that's the path that I was on when this started happening. Though very, very newly on that path of self-love, I did have something to fall back on. And that's my best advice. My best advice is find some people that you trust, that you care about, that understand what you're going through. And whether you have to hire a mentor, and I do offer that, by the way, or whether you have to go on a forum and try to find other people that are having experiences like you, and then you keep in touch via email. Make sure that the people you're surrounding yourself with are trustworthy, that they have your best interest at heart, and that they ultimately believe in you. Because some people might think that you're crazy. Those aren't your people. Those aren't your people at all. And I don't care if you've known them for 30 years or if, you know, they're family members. You have to be really picky and choosy on who comes on this journey with you, because they can make or break it for you. You know, you could get stuck in a loop. And I don't want to get into a lot of negative stuff here, but just be really mindful and listen to your intuition, because your intuition knows everything. It's your ability to listen and execute what you're being told to do that is going to drive you forward. And if you resist that process, you're going to end up, again, back in these toxic loops with people wondering, how did this happen again? It's because you haven't learned the lesson yet. You get stuck back in these cycles because you need to learn the lesson. And once you do, it'll spit you right out into the next phase. So if you're wondering why that's keep happening, make different choices. Make a different choice. And in terms of ascension, you know, this is going to start happening to more people. So even if somebody in your life or multiple people in your life think you're crazy now, they will very, very likely have their own story about ascension soon. And they're going to turn to you. They're going to think of you. And whether or not you're still in touch with them is your own call. But they're going to remember what you talked about, what you shared with them. And in a way, you're going to be a guiding light for them. So have patience with yourself and with others. You know, we're all doing the best that we can. This is not an easy journey for the ascending or the people surrounding the ascending, because they're just as confused and overwhelmed as you are. Well, maybe not. Maybe not just as confused and overwhelmed, but they are overwhelmed and frustrated probably. So this message is a little bit all over the place. I'm not really sure exactly what the message is for today, other than sharing a little bit of my story, trying to connect with those that are newly awakening and those that are a little further along. And I mentor and coach both, by the way. If you're just beginning, or if you're pretty far in, or if you're very far in, I can assist you, you know. And if you want to join our Patreon community, we'd love to have you. I'm going to go live once a month for 60 minutes to do a Q&A. So you can, you know, chat your questions or send them in advance if you know you're not going to be there, and I'll record it and you'll have access to it for up to a week. So this is great for those of you that, like me, back in the day, don't have support, and you know, you're surrounded by people that think you're crazy. Hopping on a live Q&A with somebody who's been through it, who knows, who can support you and answer your questions, and just help you feel seen, it might be really beneficial. I know I would have jumped at the opportunity for that, so I'm grateful to be able to offer that to those of you that are interested. I'll put the Patreon link in the description. And for everyone else, just hang in there, keep breathing, keep caring for yourself, you know, do yoga, meditate, whatever it is, drink water, so much water. Like, it's so important, seriously. And then rest, eat well, surround yourself with people that are good for you. Don't make excuses for people that treat you poorly. That's just, please don't. You deserve better. You deserve so much better. And if you're in my collective, you've probably been surrounded by some pretty questionable people for a long time. And I mean, no judgment. They were teachers. Just remember that. Compassion. Always have compassion. They're all teachers. And a lot of them, we signed a contract long ago before we got here to play out this exact scene that's happening. But part of that contract is that you learn your lesson and move on, right? That you don't get stuck in that wheel. So I say all of this with love. I hope this helped. I just felt guided to get on here and share. I'm sending so much love, you guys. Hang in there, and I'll see you next time.